Hey everybody, it's Anna. Welcome back to my Fluid Art channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. So earlier this year, I made this painting as part of a collaboration. It's a seascape and I love it. It's so pretty. This was a flip cup for the sky, and then the water was a swipe with silicone. I think it was silicone. Maybe it was cell activator. I don't actually know. It's been a little while. And then the beach was just painted with a brush. Anyway, love it as a painting, but I haven't varnished it yet because as it's been sitting on my shelf, I feel like it's just missing a little subject. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint a little sailboat right here, a little red and white sailboat. And then I think down in this corner I might put a shorebird, either a whimbrel or a sanderling. And I think those two things are going to turn it from being a beautiful painting to an actual beach scene. So, let's make a painting. So let's start with the sailboat. So it's going to go right about here, almost at the edge of the horizon. And I'm going to sketch it first using some fluid mixed white paint, because this is very easy to erase if you don't like the way it looks. Let's see. So I'm looking at a reference photo to help me know the shape, because even though I could sketch a sailboat, I want it to look really nice and realistic. I think that's a pretty good hull shape, and I'll add details to that later. Right now I'm just trying to get my sizing. Okay, let's do the mast. So looking at my picture, the mast is longer than the hull of the boat is. So that would go up to about there. All right, and from there, the sail is going to go all the way up to the top. Okay, so there's the first, and then the second sail comes kind of from here down towards the bow, and then its line is here, sort of in the front. But because the wind is filling it, there's a nice curve to it. All right, so there's the sketch of the sailboat, and I'm going to wait a couple minutes for that to dry before I start adding more color. So while I'm waiting, I'm going to put a little shorebird down here. So I wasn't sure what kind of a bird I wanted. I love birds. I think I'm going to go with a sanderling. They're the ones who run up to the shoreline and then peck at the wet sand and then they run away. So let me sketch a little tiny sanderling right here near the water's edge. And that does not look like much right now because this is just the basic outline of what the body and head shape is going to be. There will be a lot more detail added to that. But I think it's time to move back to the sailboat. So I'm going to put away my fluid paint and instead get some straight paint and use that. So for my white, I'm going to be using Sargent Acrylic Craft Paint White. Because it's nice and soft, you don't really have to mix it with water, and it cures quickly. For my red, I have two different reds. I have Acrylic Fire Red, and I have Nic Pro Red. This one's a little bit lighter and oranger, so this will be my primary one, but then I'll use this like as highlights. So I'm going to put some of those over here. And those will need a bit of water added to them probably because they're pretty thick. But I'm going to start with white. So I'm just going to paint a more solid layer of white all on that sailboat. So I'm realizing that the back of my boat is disproportionately long compared to what I've done as the sail. So either I need to make the sail larger, which I could do, or I need to make the boat shorter, and I think that's going to be easier. So I'm just going to put a little bit of water here, because this paint is still very fresh, which means you can erase it. You just rub it with some water, and then you come in with a dry paintbrush and just absorb all that paint right up. So for right now, I'm just putting a layer of white over everything. That's helping to cover up the blue background and show me, like, what is my shape really? Do I like this shape? Do I need to change this shape? And then based on whether I like it, then I can add all the small details and the shading and things like that. My mast got just a little bit crooked right there. That looks lovely. I like the placement. I like the size. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm just going to make everything brighter white so that I'll have something that I can put all my details on. I'm going to add some of the details in black to the Sanderling, the beak and its legs. So I'm going to be really careful here. I don't like that first leg I did. Alright, step by step, we're looking better and better. The white paint looks like it's dry, so it's time to add some more details up there. So I'm going to paint just kind of a dark line along the bottom. And then on my picture, this corner of the sail is black for reinforcement. So I'll go ahead and add that little detail. Alright, the mast in the picture looks kind of grayish, so I'll paint that gray. So now I'm going to paint just a little bit of gray here along the side of the boat to be some shading, so that the contrast of the top of the boat is going to look much more white. Nice. Right, the other place that I'm going to add some shading is here on this back sail. It's very triangular, but I'm just going to shade a little bit of the back of it gray to make it look like it's catching in the wind and not totally straight. These are the windows in the cabin. I'm loving how this is looking. It's nice and detailed. All it needs at this point is the red. So I don't know if I want horizontal red lines or diagonal red lines. I think I'm going to go with horizontal because it's going to be easiest to know which direction I should be going. Haha, we have a red stripe. So because our sail is curving, it's kind of bulging towards us, so instead of flat, it's like this. So I'm going to try to start making my stripes slightly curved. This one's flat because it's held down, but as it goes up, I want them to start curving a little bit more. Clean up my edge just a little bit, because red is hard to cover. You kind of want to remove it if you can, instead of trying to cover it up. Alright, next stripe. And we're getting some nice kind of curvature here. Just maybe 2 more stripes. I love that. I really do. I'm going to take a little bit of this brighter red color and add just a drop of water to it, and maybe a tiny bit of white to lighten it up. It's actually too much water. Here we go. Just a little water. I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it on just sort of the edges of this to make it look extra bright, like the sun is catching on it. Okay, I'm not sure exactly how much difference we're going to be able to see from that. But as the paint's dry, I don't know, maybe we'll get a little bit of contrast from that. And then on the other side, I have this darker red, which is already pre-mixed fluid paint. And I'm going to put just a little touch of that on the left side, just to gently darken this inside edge. Make it seem like it's curving around away from the sun. But to kind of mirror that shadow, I'll get a tiny bit of gray and put that on the white edge. Very nice. Okay, while I have gray out, I'm going to move back to the Sanderling and start painting the body feathers, because it's mostly a white and gray bird, at least in the winter. In the spring, it's kind of brown and white, but most of the time when you see these birds, or at least for me, it seems like it's in the fall or the winter and they're in their white and gray plumage. Time to add the eye and make it really come to life. Aww, so cute. And there's some black feathers here in the tail, so I'll just add those. Alright, I'm looking at this right now. There's nothing that I see that's like, oh my goodness, I have to do that. So I'm going to pause for now. I'm going to think about it a little bit more, look at it a little bit more, maybe add some stuff, maybe not, and I'll come back and show you the finished piece. Alright, it is done. So I did change the legs on the Sanderling. I made them go the opposite direction because when you couldn't see the back leg, it didn't look quite right. And then the sailboat up here, I did have to add a little bit of white into my red color for that front edge because it wasn't quite bright enough. So both of these hand-painted things, I mean, it's not like they're going to win any awards for the painting quality, but they're detailed enough that especially from a distance, they look realistic enough, and I feel like they just make this whole scene look really complete. So for any of you who didn't see this the first time around, I have some lovely metallic teal and gold here in the water, which sparkles nicely. And then there's a bit of metallic up here in the sky. So it's really pretty and dreamy, and wouldn't you just like to sit on this tropical beach, hearing the gentle waves, watching the shorebirds and the sailboats? I love it. Thank you so much for joining me for this painting embellishment process. I hope it inspired you to try something new, like maybe pulling out the brushes and adding some embellishments to a piece that you feel would benefit from that. I can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye guys!